All right, we're going to get into graphing inverses, but before we do that, I want to remind you the difference between graphing a pair of XY coordinates, or a coordinate pair, and graphing when you have a slope and a y-intercept, so graphing from slope-intercept form. So when we're looking at graphing a pair, the x is going to tell you how much to go left or right, and I just did the opposite of what I meant. So left is over here. If it's negative, it's positive, go right. The y is going to tell you then to go up or down. Up if it's positive, down if it's negative. So if I'm graphing the point -2, 5, when I'm graphing a point, and not when I'm graphing an equation, but when I'm graphing a point specifically, I'm always going to start at the origin, 0, 0. So to graph -2, 5, I'm going to go left 2 and up 5. And I'm going to make that point. So that tells me left 2 and up 5. If I'm graphing the point for -3, I'm going to start at 0, 0, go over 4, right 4, and down 3, and make my point. That differs from how we graph a function or graph a linear equation in slope-intercept form, because my slope is going to tell me rise over run. So this one, the slope of 3 would be up 3, right 1. A slope of 1/2 would be up 1, right 2. So up 1, right 2. Slope of -4 would be down 4 and right 1. Anytime you got a whole number, you're always going to go, I made this too small, you're always going to go right 1. And then -3 fourths is going to tell you to go down 3 and right 4. So then the difference when we graph an equation in slope-intercept form is we have the slope is always the one that's being multiplied by the x, and then the number by itself is your y-intercept. So you're always going to graph your y-intercept first. So this is the y-axis right here. So you're going to graph your first point at +4. If it was -4, you'd be at -4, but this is +4, so we're going to make our first point at +4. Our slope is -2, so that tells me that from the y-intercept, I'm going to go down 2 because it's a -2 and right 1 because it's a whole number. So down 2, right 1, and I'm going to make another point. And you just continue that pattern, down 2, right 1. You don't have to do all of them. I'm just doing it so that it can get a very, very squiggly line, apparently. So just wanted to clarify that difference because it can cause some confusion sometimes. When you're graphing a point, you start at the origin and you go left or right first, and then you go up or down. When you are graphing in slope-intercept form, you go to the y-intercept first, and then you go up or down first and right 1, or right however many is appropriate. So the slope is up or down and then over. The coordinate pair is left or right and then up or down. So just hope that helps in graphing lines. I'm going to make a different video for graphing the inverses. Okay, so to graph an inverse, I'm going to use one color, so I'm going to use pink to graph my original. So this is f of x equals 1/2 x plus 3. So my y-intercept is 3. I'm going to put my first point at +3. My slope is 1/2, and it's rise over run. So I'm going to go from my y-intercept, I'm going to go up 1, right 2. So up 1, right 2, make my point. And I'm just going to keep doing that pattern. Up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. To go backwards, to fill in that back half, I'm going to go down 1 and back 2. And you'll know if you mess that up, because if they don't line up, then obviously you made a mistake somewhere. Okay, so that is my original function. That's f of x. Now, I'm going to use the table here to write some points because it's easier to swap them. So I have the point negative 4, 1, sorry. So negative 4, 1. My value at negative 2 is negative 2 is going to be positive 2, so I'm going to put that right there. My value at 0 is 3, so I'm going to put a 3 right here. My value at 2 is 4. And then 4 is at 5. So the inverse piece, whenever you do an inverse, you're just swapping your x and y. So I'm going to take all my f of x, remember that's the same thing as y, and I'm going to put them in for x for the inverse. So I'm just taking these numbers over. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to take my x numbers and I'm going to put them in for y of the inverse. So that's going to be negative 2, 0, 2, 4. And then I'm just going to graph. These are each representing a point on the graph, so I'm going to graph each of those points. So 1, negative 4. Remember, now I'm graphing a point, so over 1, down 4. Two, negative 2 is going to be over 2, down 2. 3, 0. So over 3, not up or down because of that 0. 4, 2, and 5, 4. And those also should line up in a straight line. I'm going to keep going here. So again, I can try to make a straight line because it won't let me put a ruler on my iPad without screwing it up. I don't know why. And then what I'm going to do, I want to show you, actually, I'll finish this part first. The equation of the inverse as a y-intercept of negative 6. And it's going up to over 1. So that inverse is 2x minus 6, because my slope is up 2 over 1. So you can write 2 over 1 x if you want to. And it's crossing at the crossing the y-axis at negative 6. So that's my inverse equation. Just a note on this, you can do this without making a table, but in my experience, most students don't do it well and tend to make a mistake. Something to note as well, an inverse is always going to go through, be reflected over the line y equals x, and y equals x at 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. Negative 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 2. So that line going diagonally through the middle, that's your y equals x line. And your equation, your inverse and its original should always be reflected over that line. I'm going to go ahead and label this my inverse. That's f negative 1 of x. Remember, these both are basically ways of labeling an equation. F of x, that's my original function. F inverse of x, that negative 1 doesn't have a mathematical value. It's just telling you the inverse, that is an inverse. So that's how you graph an inverse.